This is Ritesh Srinivasan and welcome to my channel. In this video, let's look at the types of machine learning systems. Okay. So in the types of machine learning systems, you have firstly something called as supervised learning. Okay. So what is supervised learning? So in supervised learning, you are given data. Okay. In the data, you also have labels associated with the data. Okay. If I were to give you a simple example, if you are doing some kind of say a simple email classification, okay, so you have emails, right? You want to classify them as spam or not spam. Okay, so you are given this email data set where you know that a certain email in this data, okay, say email 10 is spam, right? Whereas email 11 is not spam. Okay. Now you can actually develop a machine learning algorithm. Okay. For example, in this case, I can use something called as a naive Bayes classifier. Okay. Which looks at these email data and then it can classify a mail as spam or not spam. Okay. Spam or not spam. Right. So here in the data, you have given this instance over here is nothing but this particular email along with its text and a label associated with this thing. So in this way, you can do something called as supervised learning, right? So this is an example of something called as a classification. Okay, because here what you are trying to do is spam or not spam classification. So this is a binary classification because the value of the output over here of this machine learning system is a 1 if it is a spam, 0 if it is a non-spam. You can use 1 to represent spam and not spam as 0, right? So this is classification. Now let's consider another problem where you are trying to say find the rent of houses, right, in say Bengaluru city. Okay, so here your data is something like some properties of houses are given in terms of number of rooms, right? Say number of bedrooms, square foot area, some locality, right? And the rent. Okay. So here also if you look at the rent is given. Okay. Suppose you have given some 1000 or say 10,000 such records. Okay. Now you need to come up with a machine learning system which will predict the rent, right? Given these features like number of rooms, number of bedrooms, square foot, locality, right? So here what happens is this rent is a value which can range anywhere between say 5,000 rupees to even 1 lakh or more, right? Depending upon the property, right? So this value over here is continuous, right? It's not a discrete value, it's a continuous value. So such problems for prediction are called as regression problems, right? So classification you have seen, now you are seeing regression. This is also supervised learning, okay, because here this particular rent is given over here. Okay, your output column value is given and now you are trying to predict it, but only thing is the output value over here is continuous. Okay, it's not discrete value like your previous case of classification. Okay, so this is called as supervised learning. Okay, so where you have your data, right, associated with the data you also have labels. Okay, you can call these labels as classes or it could be values, continuous values, right? So this is your supervised learning paradigm. Okay, the next is your unsupervised learning. Okay, so what is unsupervised learning? The opposite of supervised learning, right? So here you are not given any labels. Okay, so for example, you have given news articles, right? You have given some 10,000 news articles. Now you have to find out similar articles. right? You don't know what these articles are, you don't know what topics they belong to, so you group them, okay, using some measure, similarity measure between the articles, and then you will call these as, okay, this is group 1 set of articles, right? This is group 1, group 2, and so on, okay, some n groups of articles, okay. Then you can look at this and you can say that, okay, this mostly speaks about politics, you are then labeling it. This can talk about something else, sports, right? So this is a unsupervised unsupervised learning, okay. This is typically called as clustering, okay. So you are trying to cluster data. Now what other data can you cluster like this? So a lot of people are have purchased certain items on, say, a shopping website. Now you want to group them, as you can group them in different ways, right? You can group them like, okay, some people have only spent 10k, some people have spent more than 50k, some people have spent more than 100k. So let me group them based on this, right? Or I can have another kind of grouping where I'm saying, okay, some people only bought electronics, right? Some people only bought clothes, okay, or some people bought a combination. So you can perform different kind of groupings on this data. So that is your unsupervised learning, okay. So typically in unsupervised learning, what you do is you do clustering, okay. But this is not just limited to clustering, you can do different things in unsupervised learning. Like another thing is called as anomaly detection, okay. So in anomaly detection, if you take the example of credit card data, okay, right? So in credit card data, you will typically see that most of the transactions will follow within a certain value, right? But suddenly you will see that there is one transaction which is coming from a very high value, or there are certain associated parameters that for this particular credit card, most of the transactions has happened in certain geography, like say India, right? Suddenly you see a transaction happening in the US. This could be a fraud transaction, right? So this is about anomaly detection, okay, finding abnormal data within your regular data, okay. So this is also a kind of unsupervised learning. Then you have something called as visualization of your data. So how can you visualize your data, right? As I said, in terms of graphs or this thing where you can see different groups of data. You also have another thing called as dimensionality reduction, okay, where you want to reduce the dimensions of the data, okay. So when you have large amount of features or large number of attributes for a certain data, but you don't know which is important, not important, and you want to reduce the dimensions of the data, so that is your dimensionality reduction, okay. So this was about unsupervised learning. You also have another one, this thing called semi-supervised learning, okay. So what is semi-supervised learning? It is a combination of supervised and unsupervised learning. For example, in your Google Photos, right, there could be, it will automatically group photos of people who look similar, and they call and label it as, say, person 1, person 2, so on, okay. Now it can ask you to label this person by certain name, right? And once you associate the name, now you have labeled data in these Google Photos, okay. Now you can do something like similarity search, or say retrieval of people with similar images, right? People who are there present in same set of people are present in, say, different images, so you can pull out that. So here the first step was some kind of unsupervised, the second step is again supervised, right, where you can do face detection of this particular person. The first one was just a grouping of similar persons, but then you can do face detection over here with this labeled data, okay. So this is your semi-supervised class of learning, okay. And then the last one you have is reinforcement learning, right? So what is reinforcement learning? Say you are developing a vacuum cleaner, okay, automated vacuum cleaner, right? So you have your house, okay. This is just a simple example of a house. You have certain rooms over here, a door over here, right? Something like this. You have some obstacles over here, right? Okay. Some obstacle over here, right? Now this particular robot should be able to navigate through this house and perform some kind of cleaning, right? So what happens over here is that there is this agent over here. So the agent is your vacuum cleaner. Okay. So there is an agent, okay, which is your vacuum cleaner in this scenario. There is an environment, okay, which is your house, right? Now there is a task which needs to be performed by this agent, which is cleaning over here, right? Now as this agent performs the task, okay, you either reward it or punish it, right? So when this vacuum cleaner is able to navigate without hitting an obstacle, you reward it. When it hits an obstacle, you punish it. Basically, you ask it to come back, right, by a few steps. And by repeating this process of, so basically at every moment, this particular agent is in a state in the environment, right? So you do state updates based on whether a reward or a punishment happens. And ultimately, the agent is able to learn in a reinforced method how to actually perform its task. Okay. So this can be used for different things like playing chess, right? An algorithm, a machine learning algorithm to play chess, right? A machine learning algorithm for performing a certain task in a robot, for say holding a glass, lifting a glass. So this is your reinforcement learning algorithms. Okay. So this is another type of your machine learning. Let us look at some examples of supervised learning. Okay. So in supervised learning, you can have algorithms like linear regression, right? Then you have logistic regression, okay? Support vector machines, neural networks, decision trees, random forests, okay? These are some examples. It's not exhaustive. I've just covered some. In unsupervised, you have your clustering algorithms like your k-means, right? dbScan, okay, and so on. Okay, some examples of clustering algorithms. And dimensional reduction, you have PCA, you have TSNE, right, and you have UMAP. Okay, some of dimensionality reduction algorithms. Then you have some anomaly detection algorithms over here in your unsupervised learning. Okay, similarly for visualization, you have the different kind of plots, right? So this is some kind of unsupervised learning algorithms. Okay, so this was a short video about the different types of machine learning systems or algorithms. I hope you find this video useful. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more videos in this series. Happy learning.